Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well on this marvellous, fantastic, beautiful Monday morning. So let's get straight into the meat and potatoes. So, it would appear, and look, some of this I did cover in the live yesterday, but I know lives ain't for everyone. You see that viewing time and think, I've got better things to do. So, this is short form, straight to the meat and potatoes, and bash, bash, bosh, we're all done, and you can go on with your day. And this introduction has gone on far too long already. So, look, Dylan's family, they have come out, and, you know, they're not happy. You know, they are not happy, and they're not happy with someone in particular, and that is Dylan Mortenson. And look, there's a split here, isn't there? There's the people who kind of understand the situation. They're saying that, look, she could have been frozen in fear, she could have been shocked, and this, that, and the other. And ultimately, look, the questions that we have to ask Dylan, we don't have any right to answers, but we can speculate. But those questions will be asked in court, and they will need to be answered. You know, we have no sort of rights to answers, like I say, and there's no obligation for us to be given that information, but Brian and his defence team, they do. And, you know, there's not going to be any hiding from the questions. And the questions need to be answered. It's as simple as that. You know, at the end of the day, you can't, on one hand, say that you are a viable witness, that the things that you say you saw and the things that you say you heard, which we're going to come back to in a moment, and you know, the bushy eyebrows and all this, and then on the flip side of that, say that you was frozen in fear and, you know, you was then not in your right mind, because then everything that's used from your version of events is then null and void, isn't it? Because you're then not a reliable witness. So, you know, that's the danger there, isn't it? Someone who you think is going to be a key witness in it then gets rubbished by the defence team because of the state of mind that you're in. So that's a bit of a catch-22, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. But look, at the end of the day, I do have some questions because of my critical mind. And again, I did touch on this last night, and that is that we're now hearing that Dylan had apparently heard screams. She had heard screams. Now, these accounts by Dylan's family came out before the affidavit, the Alpha David. And, you know, at the end of the day, we don't know what's what. We don't know what has been said, but it would appear that the families have got information that we don't have. And of course, they have a right to more information because their children and family members are the victims. So that it is viable that they do have additional info. So it could be that there, as we've thought, there's a lot more information to this. There's a lot more evidence that is due to come out, and that 900 pages could indeed be filled with aces in the hole. But again, my concern is that someone who is the viable witness is no more because of state of mind proven to not be right, not to be completely compos mentis. And then you have that underlying question as to why did that call take so long? And we're also hearing that not only did the call take that long, but other people were called before 911. And I struggle with that. I do struggle with that. And I also think to myself, look, if you're someone who has heard these screams, then why would you even look out of your room at all? Because the screams must have happened, this critical mind, remember, the screams must have happened before the killer left. Think about that. But Dylan came out of her room. Why would someone who is frozen with fear and scared for their life think, oh, I've heard screams, I'm really scared, what I'll do, I'll go out of my room? Surely you wouldn't do that. If you are thinking to yourself, I'm going to get up and I'm going to look out of my room, why would you not call 911? Why would, as soon as you hear a scream, call 911? I'm in the house, there's someone in the house, and my friends are screaming. I've heard screams, there's people here. I don't get it. What is it? These are the basics. These are absolute basics. And people, look, you need to teach your children. And if you're a teenager or a young adult, if you're in that situation and you're hearing people screaming or you're hearing noises like this, call 911. Surely it's far better to be in a situation where you've called 911 and it's a false alarm, and they give you a rap on a rap on the wrist, and they're like, "Look, everything's all right," but you've called, you were scared in that moment. Look, and that's what they're there for. And do you know what? I have to say this. What do we know about that night? We know around this time there were police officers a stone's throw away from this property. Stone's throw away. So if you're hearing these noises, what could have happened if she would have picked up the phone and said, "I'm at 1122 King Road. There is someone in the house and there's people screaming in this house." Dispatch knows there's people in the area, and what have you got? Within minutes, you've got police on the scene. They could have seen the car. They could have caught the car in motion. They could have followed it. This could have been a completely different kettle of fish. And that's why that family is pissed off. And look, I know there's people on the fence with it. And this frozen in fear and this frozen shock state situation. But I can't buy it, guys. I can't buy it because, again, someone who is frozen with fear wouldn't have opened the door to look. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. You're brave enough to hear what you hear and open the door to look. Because, like I say, if she genuinely did hear screams, the screams had already happened prior to opening that door the last time. And there is no excuse for not calling 911. And I've got to say it. And yes, that might upset people, but I'm just saying it. What I would think, what I would feel if my relatives would have been in that house that night and they became the victims of this crime. And look, we will have a quick look together at the article itself. You know, this is the article, and what we're seeing is this. Look, Ethan, 20, his girlfriend's Anna Canodal, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves were all killed as they slept in the house on November 13th. Now, I think the slept bit is questionable. I don't think they were sleeping at all. His sister-in-law has since revealed that Dylan, who was in the property at the time of the killings along with Bethany Funk, called all the roommates after she heard screaming and crying coming from their rooms. Again, call 911. Don't call your friends. Pick up your phone, dial 911. Get it through your thick heads. That's what you do. There's no... That's it. Posting in a thread on Reddit, and look, this thread, by the way, this was a verified thread. So that person has gone through all of the rigmarole and jumped through all the hoops they needed to verify that's who they were. So this is a verified statement. Supposedly called all the girls in the house after crying and screaming stopped and no one answered. She still didn't call the police. And then it's got some things here. Yes, I hope it will come out what Dee heard. Dee supposedly called all the girls in the house after the crying and screaming stopped and no one answered, and she still didn't call the police. She needs to explain herself and her actions that night. And it does go on, but look, some of you may have already, seen this. And I'm going to say this. If you are in that situation, what is your fear? My fear would be that they would come back. My fear would be that, are they coming back into the house? Are they going to come back in and attack me? Why would you not call 911? I don't understand it. I do not understand it. I genuinely don't. Unless there was an interaction there and that person, before they left, physically interacted and made it clear that they were safe, there is no need. Tell me, make it make sense down below, please. I wish I could make sense of it, but I personally can't make sense of it. And the version of events that she gives, I fear that this helps Brian Kohberger's defense. I feel that it helps his defense. You know, what was Bethany Funk doing at the time? Again, to not hear nothing, to sleep through it. And look, she could have had AirPods in. People have said she could have been listening to music, earplugs, whatever, because it's a noisy house and maybe they're light sleepers and they get used to sleeping in that way, shape or form. Who knows? It's possible. But why wouldn't Dylan go to her and rouse her? Something just don't sit right. Something doesn't sit right here. I wonder whether the person dressed in black had entered that house, but they were perhaps not the person who done it. They left and someone else come in later while the others were asleep. I just don't get it. But if this does change things, when she turns around and says that she heard the screams and she's tying that into this person dressed in black being in the house, it does change things. It kind of does knock the theory on the head that perhaps someone came in later. But then the question is, and I will touch on this later, is DNA, the transfer from the crime scene to wherever this person went after. And like I say, I'll touch on that separately later. But for now, let me know down below, what is going on around what happened and this delayed call? I know we're just flogging it to death, but there are questions there, and you can't hide from that in court. What could possibly be said to explain that away in a court of law? Let me know, and I'll catch you all in the next one.